Hello, Austin. Welcome to Lone Star Politics. I am the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love, back from my 4-week hiatus. Thank you for joining us. Now, I'd like to remind you that anything I say on my show is strictly my opinion. It is certainly not the opinion of KVRX, the University of Texas, the state of Texas, the United States government, nor the United Nations. Though I hope it is the opinion of the Lord Almighty Jesus Christ. Hopefully God likes what I say, but most likely any government will not like what I say, because I encourage you to think for yourself. To not only listen to what I say, but then check what I say, and to find out what you think is most important in what's going on in the world, and what the mainstream media feeds you. Is that fact or is that fiction? This is Lone Star Politics. We were just listening to the John Mills Times 10. That's their hit Signify. John Mills Times 10 plays regularly here in Austin at the Elephant Room, if you enjoy jazz. I feel so blessed and excited to be here today. I'm sorry that I've been gone for so long. I went on a personal spiritual journey that involved lots of drugs, in fact legal drugs, and it was just a wonderful time. I'm going to spend the first few minutes kind of just telling you what I've been through the last 3 weeks and how I've grown, and hopefully it inspires you to use that information however you'd like. I spent the last 3 weeks inside of a medical research facility testing new experimental drugs. Sounds scary, but it pays exceptionally well. I made what would be the salary of $100,000 a year for the 3 weeks I was inside there. So that pays very well. The best part is it basically leaves you free most of the day. So even though I was technically working, I was free to think and to read, to write, to watch, to do basically whatever it is I wanted to inside this facility. I usually spend my time doing that, primarily just reading and ignoring those around me so that I can get as much work done in there as possible. This time, I was very fortunate to meet some very interesting individuals that helped shape me and helped me grow while I was inside. For one thing, I played lots of chess inside. I think my mind just got sharper just by the fact that I was battling wits with somebody every day for 2 hours. It was a great time playing chess. The other part was that I really got spiritually connected with a number of different people inside there. I was inside this facility over Easter, and with a friend of mine, Carl, he and I kind of organized an Easter celebration inside. 22 people inside the facility came, and we worshiped and prayed together, and then we discussed how God's working in our lives. There were some people in the crowd who were not necessarily very religious, but wanted to listen to what we had to say. And there were other people that were almost combative with us. They were not necessarily believers, and they wanted to question the validity of God, what kind of God, merciful God, would allow bad things to happen in the world, this sort of thing. And it was a really interesting discussion. And after the closing prayer, I looked at Carl and I said, "Oh my goodness, that was one of the most amazing things that's ever happened." And I feel so blessed and so fortunate to have been there to share that Easter with those people. It was just so wonderful to feel the presence of God inside that facility amongst those people. And I spent a lot of about an hour a day meditating in there, and also reading the Bible, reading the scriptures. It was during Lent, and I read through all 4 Gospels during Lent. It was really an amazing experience meditating on the Gospels and listening to God and feeling His presence in my life. Over the last few months, I've been trying to make the change in my life where when I see somebody do something that I don't like, or I see someone who is perhaps not a very physically attractive person, perhaps they're overweight. Sadly, there are lots of these people in the United States. About half of Americans are overweight. About a quarter of Americans are obese. So I see these people rather regularly. Or I see someone say something or do something that I disagree with. And usually when this happens, I believe most of us experience this negative feeling inside that makes us say, that person's a jerk, I don't like what they did, shame on them, that person needs to lose weight, he needs to tuck in his shirt, she needs to wear better shoes, have a handbag that matches her sandals, or someone needs to do something to fit what it is that we think they should be doing. And I've been praying on this for a while, that I will see all people as children of God, because that is what we are. Whether or not you believe in God or not, we are all created with the same spiritual essence, with the essence of the Creator in us. And we have a spark of divinity inside all of us, inside of every human being, and we rarely notice it inside others unless we really look. At least I haven't until recently. And when someone would cut me off, or someone would yell at me, or curse at me, emotions would get riled up inside me that made me want to attack back and say, well, you're a jerk, you did something wrong, this and that. And now, after this 3-week study of and this meditation and this prayer and this reading of the Bible and trying to take that all into my life, I'm now much more able, when I see something that's negative, to then just say a little prayer for them and say, God bless you. I pray that the bad things in your life get worked out and you experience more good things. Just last week, as soon as I got out of my study on Thursday, I was taking out the trash. I didn't have a shirt on, and some gentleman drives by in his truck and yells at me and swears at me, yelling at me to put on a shirt. And I thought, my goodness, that took a lot of energy and effort to say those things to me. And I don't know why he felt so compelled to do that. And I just said, God bless you. I pray that your day goes better than this, and that you don't have such negative energy inside of you. And ordinarily, when I'm not on the radio, I have somewhat of a foul mouth. I usually am not too careful with my tongue. I've always been careful to not take the Lord's name in vain, but I haven't always been careful about not saying curse words, 4-letter words in the English language. And because I thought, hey, the Bible says don't use the Lord's name in vain. It doesn't say anything about dropping F-bombs. So I dropped F-bombs. And while I was inside there, the very last day, I was playing Carl in chess, and I was beating him. We were having this tournament, and I was really involved. We were playing this game for about an hour, and he makes this move where he basically put his queen into a position where I could have taken her, but I didn't see it. And then he took my queen, and then I started cursing him out, saying that was a bad move. You didn't see what just happened there. And basically, I was winning at that point, but I started yelling at him and saying, you don't deserve to win. And I was very negative towards him, even though in reality he had made a brilliant move to take the lead at that time. But I was very emotionally upset, and I was swearing at him. And a friend of mine, Lucas, was right next to me. He was someone who joined us for our religious ceremony on Easter. Not religious ceremony, worship on Easter. And he said, how can you say those words out of the same mouth that you praise God with? And I said, the Bible says nothing about swearing. And then I continued to swear for the next 5 minutes at Carl as he then won the game. But then I realized, Lucas wrote me a great email that inspired these thoughts. Through that email and in thinking about it, I realized I should not be shouting out negative things. I should not be saying negative things or thinking negative thoughts. That's not helpful. For those of you who wish to be successful in business, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is one of the greatest books ever written as far as business success. And he teaches you that your thoughts are what's most important. If you think business success, if you think happiness, if you think, how can I help this person that's in front of me? If you think, how can I make this $1 million, and see yourself with that $1 million, you will earn that $1 million. It will come to you. But they don't teach that to us in business school. They don't teach that to us in undergraduate school. They don't teach that to us, period. That's something you kind of have to go out and learn and find out for yourself. The movie and the book, The Secret, is kind of based on the same principle. And thinking about that, I really should not be saying negative things like curse words. There's no benefit to that. I shouldn't be saying derogatory things towards someone right in front of me. There's no point to that. And praise be to God, I realized these things, and now I'm really working on using much more positive language when I'm interacting with somebody, and think positive thoughts about whomever I'm around, regardless of what they're saying or doing. And it's been really wonderful. So thank you, Jesus, for making this transformation in me, and please help me to continue it. And as a result, for the last couple of days that I've been out, I've had many more opportunities to help other people, which were just awesome. On Sunday, there was an award ceremony and a bill that I helped author for student government, along with Desmond Shipper, John Lawler, Nadia from Iraq, and some other folks in student government, won Legislation of the Year. And after the ceremony, there was a lot of food left over, and so I asked if I could take it downtown to a homeless shelter. Now that was just, how awesome is it to be able to take food that would probably be wasted and then take it and give it to hungry people? There is not a better feeling that you can get. It was just awesome, and how blessed am I to have that opportunity to take homeless people food, and I didn't even have to buy it. I was just like, hey, there's leftover food, let me take it downtown. It took me about an hour's worth of time, and it was just so neat to interact with 40 or 50 people who were just happy to see somebody who brought them some leftover sandwiches. It was really, really awesome. And that was on Sunday. And then just yesterday, I ran into a homeless person on the street, and I had some granola bars and water in my car. And I was like, hey, are you hungry and thirsty? Here, let me give you some stuff. And, it cost me, 30, 50 cents, whatever I gave him. And, that's food for half a day and water for a day. And, it just felt good to be able to help somebody in that way. And so I feel very blessed for these opportunities that I've been given to help other people. It just, I feel like my mission in life is to spread love and liberty through actions of good works, by helping other people, by sharing information, and hopefully in the future by passing legislation. And that's something that we've done recently as well. And I love every opportunity that I have to help somebody. It just feels so good. And I can't encourage you enough. If you're feeling sad or if you're feeling wonderful, if you want to feel great, go help somebody. Help a stranger. Give someone you don't know a leg up, and you will just feel tremendous. And you'll be sharing that love, that positive energy. You'll be stoking the fires of your divine spirit inside, and you will feel the presence of the Creator when you help a fellow child of God. So that is what I've been up to for the last 3 weeks. That's my spiritual rant for the day, and I hope you found that helpful. On to more political stuff. So we are in the midst of numerous campaigns here in Austin. Just Monday, this past Monday, at the LBJ School of Public Affairs, there was a mayoral debate, a debate for the 3 people that are running for mayor. We have Clay Defoe, who is an Austin activist who's been testifying at City Council on a regular basis, demanding cuts in spending, demanding things do not make what he considers unnecessary spending. We have Bridget Shea, who previously served on Austin City Council. She's running for mayor. And then we have the incumbent Lee Leffingwell. If you would like a laugh, if you're on a computer, Google Lee Leffingwell, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He has a commercial that is basically the script from the beginning of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it even shows him singing in the shower. You can see Austin's current mayor singing in the shower. I don't know how old he is. He's in his 60s or his 70s. It is hilarious. And a friend of mine who was not a fan of the mayor played his commercial at City Hall and paused it during his singing in the shower, and he chuckled briefly. And after about 20 seconds, he said, "You can take that down now." I guess he didn't want his naked upper body plastered all over Austin City Council. But it's absolutely hilarious. No matter how you feel about the mayor, you'll enjoy that little commercial of his. One thing I want to ask all the candidates for mayor is, what are you going to do about the problem of Austin's city water, specifically the toxic fluoride that we are adding to it? This has been a concern of mine for a while now, and Austin's current mayor, Lee Leffingwell, has done absolutely nothing to protect the citizens from the dangers of water fluoridation. Absolutely nothing. And the reality is that it is harmful to a large chunk of our citizens. The government studies admit that those with kidney disease, thyroid disease, and diabetes should not consume fluoridated drinking water. And when you add those up together, that's about between 20 and 30% of the population. 20 to 30% should not be drinking fluoridated water. Not to mention infants and toddlers, developing children, because the fluoride then gets incorporated into their teeth and bones, which can cause dental fluorosis, something that 40% of adolescents have. 40% of adolescents have this condition of having ingested too much fluoride during tooth development. So let's estimate 30% should not be consuming fluoridated water. How can we as a city allow our city government to add something to the water that makes our water unhealthy for 30% of the population? Even more unjust is that blacks and women are more likely to have kidney disease, diabetes, and thyroid disease than men. Specifically, blacks are twice as likely to have diabetes and 3 times as likely to have kidney disease as whites. So water fluoridation is harming the black population in Austin. Would any of you support a public health policy that harms the black population of Austin? I hope not. I can't imagine anybody on city council that would stand up and say, yes, I support this health practice that harms the black community in Austin. Would any of you support a public health policy that harms infants and children of Austin? Nobody supports that. Nobody on city council supports that, and yet they are. They are supporting this policy that harms minorities, women, and young children and infants by allowing Austin Water Utility to continue to add fluorosilicic acid to our drinking water. Had I been at the mayoral debate, I wish I had been, I would have asked Lee Leffingwell, what are you doing? The Environmental Board recommended that you investigate fluoride years ago. You did nothing. Austin Health and Human Services put out a warning telling mothers not to give fluoridated water to their infants. You've done nothing. January of 2011, the U.S. federal government said, there's too much fluoride in our water. We need to cut down that level by 42%. It lowered it from 1.2 parts per million to 0.7 parts per million. The U.S. government said there's too much fluoride in our drinking water. What has Austin City Council done? Nothing. Zero. Zilch. They have been ineffective, inactive, asleep at the wheel. This is inappropriate. This is not what we want from our elected officials. People to sit there and allow for an ineffective, dangerous health policy to continue here in Austin. That's what we've had. That is why we need responsible people who understand the science and who are going to listen to people who come there to testify about the dangers of fluoridation or the dangers of other policies going in Austin, who are going to listen to these people and then take action. Ray Nadler-Olnick and Linda Green have been to Austin City Council over 45 times each over the past 3 years. That's about once a month, at least once a month. Can you imagine going down to City Council once a month on the same issue and having science, having documents, having peer-reviewed scientific studies there to prove your point that this health practice is dangerous to people? And still, Austin City Council does nothing. Can you imagine the frustration they feel? Well, thankfully, it is election time, and now is the time for the people to voice their opinions and say either we want to continue with the current administration or we want somebody new in there. For those of you keeping score at home, there are 3 people up for re-election right now. Mayor Lee Leffingwell, Cheryl Cole, and Bill Spellman. Now, Bill Spellman is a professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs. He's actually been on my show. He's a very intelligent man, and I am very saddened that despite the several conversations I've had with him about water fluoridation, he has done nothing. He has not proposed investigating fluoride, nor has he proposed taking it out. He's sat silent. He's sat in left field and done nothing about water fluoridation, even though he knows that it's harmful to infants and that it's harmful to minorities. It's sad that he's done nothing. I wish he had. Running against Bill Spellman are about 5 different people, And I can tell you, Mr. Duffy is one who is a more liberty-minded candidate. I don't know the other candidates, but there's a lot of candidates in that race that you can find out information about. Cheryl Cole is running against one other person. I do not know very much about him. I just can tell you his first name is Sean. I haven't been able to hear him speak yet, so I can't tell you much about him. Lastly, there is the race of Laura Presley and Mike Martinez. Now this is Dr. Laura Presley, who has a PhD in chemistry, and she was actually instrumental here at the University of Texas to get antibacterial soap banned from campus. She came and testified to the science behind triclosan, which is the chemical in antibacterial soap, how it is harmful to plants, aquatic life, and humans. It's comprised of 2 benzene rings. If you want to see a harmful product, Google benzene and see what you find there. There's some dangerous stuff about benzene, if you'd like to find out more about that. But she talked about the dangers of triclosan, and student government listened. Student government voted unanimously to ban triclosan on campus. It was a great moment in student council history to have the student body look at the science and say, we don't want this on our campus. We want to save money. We want to protect the health of students. We want to protect the health of the environment, and we don't want antibacterial soap on campus. And Laura Presley was there to inform them about it. She was also on campus to testify on another issue that I will tell you when we get right back. So those are the 3 races going on. Presley versus Martinez. Now, I will tell you, Mike Martinez is a fireman, and the Firemen's Union did not endorse him. They are not happy with him. And in fact, Cap Metro, the bus system, Mike Martinez sits on he's a chair of the board of Cap Metro, and Cap Metro did not endorse him. I don't know why, but I find that very, very interesting. One would think that if you sit as the chair of a board, that you would get the endorsement of that organization, but they did not. Mike Martinez is not getting a lot of endorsements because I believe that people around town are not happy with the way he's been doing things. He supported the water treatment plant 4, which is costing the citizens millions of dollars and isn't even going to be needed, assuming Austin continues to grow. It's not going to be needed for the next 5 or 10 years. It's just sitting idle, costing money right now. And instead of building a water treatment plant, we should encourage conservation and figure out ways to use water more efficiently rather than facilitate growth. Austin does not need any more people. In fact, I believe there are too many people in Austin. I would be the last. I don't want to be someone to tell someone to leave, considering I moved here and I'm not going anywhere because I love it here. This is a fantastic city. But we should not be encouraging people to move here. It just creates more traffic, more condensation, and it creates a scarcity of resources, and it causes excessive stress on infrastructure and the services that we have here in the city. Yet City Council is encouraging growth. In fact, they paid for advertisements in certain media outlets to say Austin is a great place to move to. That's a great way to encourage people to come to your city. But doing that requires upgrading infrastructure and increasing road capacity, increasing water capacity, utility capacity. All these things cost money, and it costs you, the citizen of Austin, more money to upgrade the infrastructure to increase the population here. It's something City Council has been encouraging, something that does not benefit you, in fact, just increases your traffic. So, those are the 3 people running for Austin City Council. Running up for re-election are Mayor Lee Leffingwell, who's running against Bridget Shea is running against him, as well as Clay Defoe. And then we have Mike Martinez running against Dr. Laura Presley. And then we have Bill Spellman running against 10 different people. And I will tell you more about Dr. Presley's activism here on campus and tell you some of the things that Clay Defoe has been saying about the mayor when we come back. You're listening to Lone Star Politics right here on KVRX 91.7. Welcome back to Lone Star Politics here on KVRX 91.7. I am the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love. Thank you for tuning in. We've been talking about Austin City Council and the recent race coming up. And prior to that, we were talking about my religious journey over the past 3 weeks through prayer, meditation, and reading of the Bible, and how I've come out this other side to where I'm no longer swearing nearly as much. And when someone swears at me or does something negative, I'm now trying to reflect that back and shoot some positive prayers in their direction and trying to view everyone as a beautiful child of God. And it's going wonderful. I can't encourage that enough. So, just Monday was the anniversary of a terrible, terrible event here in the United States. It's the anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting, which is the largest mass public shooting in the United States and the largest on school property. Unfortunately, this event has been used by both sides to say that their position on gun rights is correct. And I wish it didn't have to come to that. I wish proponents of gun control didn't have to use Virginia Tech. And I wish people who promote the Second Amendment didn't have to use Virginia Tech. Here's what it comes down to. At Virginia Tech is a gun-free school. Gun-free school. Still is to this day. You are not allowed to have a gun on Virginia Tech. Did that prevent what happened at Virginia Tech? Did that prevent the Virginia Tech massacre? It did not. In fact, it allowed the Virginia Tech massacre. Do you know where there are never mass public shootings? Gun shows, or at gun shops, or at police banquets. Places where people know there are a lot of people with guns, like gun shows or gun shops, or where there are lots of police around. There are not mass public shootings. Mass public shootings occur where people know there are not people with guns. Where are there not people with guns? In schools that ban the possession of firearms, like Virginia Tech, and right now, like the University of Texas. Banning guns makes you vulnerable. You don't have to carry a gun. But when someone who is crazy and wants to kill a lot of people goes somewhere to kill a lot of people, they usually choose someplace where their guns are not allowed. Guns are not allowed inside University of Texas buildings. Guns are not allowed on Virginia Tech's campus. As a result, all those students, faculty, and staff at Virginia Tech and here are still vulnerable to a crazy person coming onto campus with a gun and shooting lots of people, knowing that nobody on campus can legally possess a gun except a police officer. That is the problem. Gun control only prevents law-abiding citizens from owning a gun. Do you want to restrict law-abiding citizens from carrying a gun? No, you want to restrict crazy people and criminals from carrying guns. And you can't do that because crazy people are crazy and they're going to do what they're going to do because they're crazy. The best you can do is protect yourself and hope for the best. Can you stop criminals from carrying guns? No, they're criminals. You can pass all the laws you want. In fact, we do pass all the laws we want with no effect. Marijuana. Marijuana is illegal. I have smoked marijuana, and 50% of you listening out there have smoked marijuana. Laws do not prevent behavior. People choose to do something or another. I jaywalk all the time. It's illegal to do that. We break laws all the time. Therefore, laws preventing law-abiding citizens from carrying guns on campus only prevent law-abiding citizens from carrying guns on campus, not the criminals who are going to carry them regardless. So in my opinion, what you want to do is encourage people to protect themselves everywhere they go. So that way, the University of Texas is no longer vulnerable, as it is right now. And Virginia Tech would hopefully no longer be vulnerable. But I don't know if they're making any strides towards safety and protection with allowing people to exercise their Second Amendment rights on campus. It's amazing. This person, this crazy person, went onto campus with 2 Glock 19s, which is actually the gun that most law enforcement carries. It's one of the guns that I own. It's a very common handgun with a 9mm handgun. He had extended clips and he shot lots and lots of people. I believe he killed 28. Just awful. He was able to kill 28 because nobody else had a gun. Nobody else could stop him. When only one person has a gun in the room, that person can basically kill everybody if he's got enough bullets. If everybody in the room has a gun, one crazy gunman can maybe take out 1 or 2, before somebody else in the room shoots that person dead and a further tragedy is averted. This past Saturday, I went to a shooting on some private property with the ladies here at Delta Gamma sorority here at UT. And it was a lot of fun. And the great thing was that women who had previously not been exposed to guns got a chance to handle some firearms and got some training from some veterans. So these are people that were trained in the military to handle guns. They taught the women gun safety and also some safety tips as well. Michael Cargill, who's running for Travis County Constable Precinct 2, Michael Cargill was there teaching the women just some basic safety about coming home from campus and ways to be safe around campus and around the dorms. And he gave free pepper spray to the women. So Michael Cargill was there to arm the women with pepper spray in case they need it. And then the veterans were there to teach them about gun safety, and they all shot a bunch of guns and learned how to handle guns effectively. So in the case of an emergency, heaven forbid they ever need a gun in the time of crisis, these women will now be able to operate it safely and effectively. And I spoke with some of the women there, and a lot of them said, I've never really handled a gun, but now I feel much more comfortable doing it, and I feel much safer around guns, having been trained by these ex-military men about how to do this. And some of them changed their opinion on concealed carry on campus after hearing some of the military people saying, gun control only limits law-abiding citizens. It doesn't prevent criminals from carrying. And then, they see these military men, these law-abiding citizens carrying around guns, and they thought, you know what, I don't feel endangered when a law-abiding citizen carries a gun. In fact, I feel safe because I know I'm protected around these people. And some of the girls said, you know what, I before was against concealed carry on campus, and now I support it because I believe that our military and those who get a concealed handgun license should be allowed to carry a firearm on campus so they can protect themselves and others in the time of an emergency. And so that was just a great experience to have these young women from Delta Gamma sorority get some exposure to firearms and learn about gun safety, and also get some free pepper spray from Mike Cargill and learn about how to be safer around campus. Because unfortunately there have been some crimes around campus, some assaults, some robberies, and I believe some sexual assaults around campus recently that women, you really need to be careful while you're out there and be able to defend yourself. So, the anniversary of Virginia Tech, and unfortunately we still cannot protect ourselves with firearms at the University of Texas as of right now. The state legislature tried to pass a bill that allowed concealed carry on campus, and there was a lot of political maneuvering, and it did not get passed. What's going to happen this session? I don't know. Depends on who gets elected. It's likely that there's still going to be a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. This is Texas, so we'll see what happens there. So back to City Council. Clay Defoe has been speaking at Austin City Council over the past year, basically looking at the agenda each week and saying, this is an unnecessary expense, this is an unnecessary expense. Speaking of unnecessary expenses, how about Apple? I believe we gave $8 million to Apple. $8 million. This is subsidies for the successful. Apple is one of the most profitable companies in the country. Apple outsold all other companies in the country in 2011. Outsold everybody. We are subsidizing them. Does that seem wrong to anybody else out there? Should we spend our tax dollars giving money to Apple? Is that where you want your money to go? Giving $8 million to Apple? Or do you want to maybe pay less taxes? Or see money go here to maybe give dental care to the poor? If City Council is so concerned about oral health that we institute water fluoridation, why not give free toothbrushes and toothpaste to the poor people in Austin? How about let's build another homeless shelter, or let's create job training for the homeless. Let's do something with this $8 million rather than give it to a very successful company. That is not what I want to see my tax dollars go to. And my suspicion is that you, listener, also do not want your tax dollars going to Apple. If you support Apple, buy their stock. It's been going up. But there's no reason to give them your money through taxation. It is seeing Austin City Council subsidize Apple is just, it's disgusting to me. And Clay Defoe has been speaking out about these things. Clay Defoe is so passionate about reducing spending at Austin City Council and increasing government accountability and government transparency that he decided to run for mayor. He's a first-time candidate, and he is always on point. He basically says, I believe the scope of government should be decreased. Austin City Council is doing too much. They're spending too much money, spending it in the wrong ways, and he wants to see government reduced in Austin and see freedom increased. And there's been some very controversial shootings in Austin, and there have been some controversial arrests of citizens video recording police. I believe that a lot of Austin citizens would like a decrease in the level of government involvement in their daily lives. And that's what Clay Defoe wants to bring to the mayor's office here in Austin. And Bridget Shea is formerly Austin City Council member. I've asked her campaign about water fluoridation. She believes it deserves another look, though she is unwilling to say whether or not she supports it or would like to see it removed from Austin City Water. My assumption is that she's going to be more agreeable to looking at water fluoridation than the mayor, who's done absolutely nothing. The mayor has been an absolute atrocity of a public servant. And from talking with insiders in city government, Mayor Lee Leffingwell is running this campaign so that he can recoup funds that he spent his previous campaign. He spent $60,000 of his own money to get elected to office. Now, whether or not you think that's right or not, he spent $60,000 of his own dollars to become mayor. Now he's running so that he can fundraise $60,000 more dollars than he's going to spend so he can pay himself back. Is that why we want people running for office, for the highest office in Austin, which is mayor? Do we want people running for mayor because they spent too much money before and are trying to get some back? I want someone who's going to run for mayor because they want to fix this city, because they want to see Austin be the greenest city, be the best city in the United States. And I don't see that from Mayor Lee Leffingwell. I see him, business as usual, giving money away to big companies. Trying to grow the city's population rather than taking care of the population that's here right now. I see big subsidies, big wastes of money, and an inability to understand the science or care about the poor people that water fluoridation harms. It's just sad that he's running for re-election. And lastly, we have Martinez versus Dr. Laura Presley. Now, Dr. Laura Presley's been very, very involved here in campus. She's a UT alumnus. She got her PhD in chemistry from the University of Texas at Austin. And she came to the University of Texas twice to speak to student government. Once to speak about antibacterial soap, and we had antibacterial soap banned here on campus, in large part because of her efforts and in educating us. Us as in the student government about the problems associated with antibacterial soap. Basically that it's more costly than regular soap. It's no more effective at killing germs than regular soap. It harms the environment, and it stays in the water. So when we drink water, we're drinking triclosan, this chemical in antibacterial soap, and triclosan is just bad for our body. It decreases our immune system, and it messes with our sex hormones, and it could cause cancer. So she told us about that, and student government voted to ban triclosan on campus, in large part due to Dr. Laura Presley. She then came back and talked about water fluoridation. Now, water fluoridation is something Dr. Laura Presley has firsthand experience with. She eliminated fluoride from her diet, and she was able to cure her hypothyroidism. She had an underactive thyroid, and she basically solved that problem not through medication, but by eliminating fluoride from her diet. And then she came to tell student government this, and as a result, student government voted to install 2 fluoride-free fountains on campus. That's right, listener. The University of Texas is the first university in the country to offer fluoride-free water to students. This is huge. UT is on the cutting edge of environmental protection and of water quality for students. We are the first in the country to ban antibacterial soap, the first in the country to offer fluoride-free water. UT's student government is really on the ball, And they are paying attention to the science, and they're doing everything they can to protect the students from the harmful effects of triclosan and fluoride. Why is the student government so much more effective, efficient, and up to date on the science compared to Austin City Council? I don't know. Perhaps that they're open and willing to listen to experts. Dr. Laura Presley has been to Austin City Council many times to tell them about the dangers of fluoride, and still they have done nothing. And so now she is running for Austin City Council so that she can be a decision maker, and she can take in the science and make decisions that are in the best interest of the health of Austin residents. And she is someone who will listen to the citizens who come to testify to Austin City Council. Welcome back to Lone Star Politics right here on KVRX. I'm the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love, back in from my 3-week hiatus. And those of you watching at home, you'll see that I am wearing my regular tie, but I also have a beard. And it took me all 3 weeks to grow this, and I think I'm keeping it. I no longer look 15 anymore. I think I'm a full 18 by now. So, we were talking about Austin politics. This is election year, folks. May 15th is election day, and there are 3 important races coming up. We have 3 incumbents: Mayor Lee Leffingwell, Cheryl Cole, and Bill Spellman. And frankly, I am disgusted with the inability of Austin City Council to take effective action on a number of different issues. Some things that have perturbed me: giving money to Formula One. Do we need a racetrack in Austin? Even if we do, should we take your tax dollars to pay for it? That's not the way business works. Business works where you're profitable or you're not. If you're not profitable, your business fails and you get out of the way. If you are profitable, then you flourish. This is not capitalism when a government takes money from you, the taxpayer, and gives it to a for-profit company. That is crony capitalism, and it is an ineffective use of your tax dollars. So Austin City Council gave lots of money to Formula One. $8 million to Apple, one of the most successful companies in the country. We gave $8 million of your tax dollars to Apple. Austin City Council has not acted on water fluoridation. They've continued to ignore the scientists and the citizens that have come to them regularly to testify about the ill effects of water fluoridation. Is that representative government? Is that acting in the people's best interest? Ignoring science? Ignoring citizens' pleas to at least offer a choice to citizens? You should have a choice about whether or not you consume fluorosilicic acid in your drinking water, especially if you have kidney disease, thyroid disease, or diabetes, which 30% of you do. It's ridiculous that Austin City Council continues a health practice that harms 30% of the population. So, if these issues upset you as much as they upset me, I encourage you to look at the other candidates who are running. Dr. Laura Presley is running against Mike Martinez. Dr. Laura Presley has promised to get rid of fluoride in Austin, and she is a UT graduate and has a scientific background and can understand the science behind important issues that we need City Council to decide on. Bridget Shea and Clay Defoe are both running against Mayor Lee Leffingwell, and both of them look like they are more willing to make hard decisions in Austin than Mayor Lee Leffingwell, who just wants to promote the status quo, and in reality is just running to line his own pockets from the money that he spent on his previous campaign. And Dr. Bill Spellman, a professor at UT, very intelligent man. He is running against, 5 other people are running against him, and I can't go into that race, but there's plenty of information online about this. And thank you so much for tuning in to Lone Star Politics. It's good to be back, and I'm so happy to tell you that University of Texas is the first university in the country to provide fluoride-free drinking water to its students. UT is paving the way for clean water, and hopefully what starts here changes the world, and we'll see the rest of the country follow suit.